Welcome to Colney Talk Podcast.
Hello and welcome, good people. Thank you for joining me again. Hope you're doing well. You are listening to Colney Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Alex. This is a bite-sized podcast. I share my thoughts in the post-match game review, and I pick out top 3 performers in the game and one player whose level was not up to par or as quality as we would expect. If you're new here, welcome. Or if you've been listening to the show, glad to have you back. Europa League, Arsenal, Bodo Glimt, round 2. I had a feeling this was not going to be anything like the previous match because Bodo Glimt is not an easy ground to play. Not the least intimidating stadium, I would say. I mean, no offense, it's not really that. It's not large if when watching it. But the game, this is following a 14 home game winning streak, so they got something going on. Bodo Glimt, that is. This game, we did have luck on our side. The first luck count was the first 5th minute of the first half of the game, where Bodo Glimt could have scored but just missed their feet from a cross in our box. The second lock was in the 28th minute, I guess, with a clear one-on-one, but just again couldn't finish. And our lock continued in the I think 51st minute, and the other best chance they had was in the 55th minute of the game. Just really shooting the ball, and it just really sailed right above. And these were instances of luck helping us out for most part of the game. This wasn't our usual ball dominance performance type of display. We had good passes to get out of Bodo Glimt's heavy press, but we did have our own share of poor executed shots at the edge of the box. I mean, we couldn't dominate. We didn't even dominate the midfield. They just overran us the way they played. So there's a lot of things to look at the way the game went. And for Arsenal, there was a lot of defending for our back line. Bodo Glimt, they break out quickly when they get the ball and really pushes back quickly in a very defensive posture. They played a really good game, but execution was their last thing they couldn't really produce. So again, factoring that in gave us a little bit of an advantage. Credit to Arsenal's structure. Staying defensively compact helped us absorb a lot of pressure. They had to grind out in this match. I mean, we really did, because the way they played, we could see they had a very good style and they just stayed consistent with it. They did not deviate. They didn't change anything, and it really helped them grow into the game. It really helped them, just as they did in the first match. Again, Bodo Glimt, they're not a team to just look over. Very evident in this game. We just had to absorb a lot of things coming from them. They threw a lot at us. Mind you, this is our second string team, and they tried to do their best playing with this Bodo Glimt, all first players. It was good to see Nelson play this amount and Rob Holding help, doing his best, keeping, Arsenal's defense out of danger. So in a sense, overall, the game, we did a lot of work keeping our composure. The early score helped us, just stay above rather than just staying and defending all the time. We came out of the presses a few times with good passes and movement, but again, our final product, when it came to the final third, we just didn't do what we would typically expect. A lot of it, as I've mentioned, had to do with the way Bodo Glimt played us. It's, I think, an interesting way of watching this game, removing the expectation of, oh, this is Arsenal coming in to dominate Bodo Glimt, or this is Arsenal coming in to dominate a different team. This is Europa League and all those considerations that you would somewhat expect, because we look forward to seeing younger players, the second string players come in and play this game, because it's usually catered for them. But things are changing. We're getting to introduce a lot of our first team players. We're getting to add them in at crucial times to maintain our position in winning out the game, or maintain a position of really just dominating. And this is just all of our reliance in our first team. So there's so much to consider there. So the players that stood out for me, Saka, just the first main standout all throughout the game, played really great, constantly keeping great things happen on the right wing. He was the main outlet for our offensive plan, a threat in the games, as we know, even just from the way we just know who Saka is. He was a good problem to have, and he really helped us, obviously, with our winning chance, especially with his own goal. You would think there would be some sort of dynamic play with Saka, Nketiah, and Nelson, but that was not the outcome of the game. It wasn't how everything turned out. I'm pretty sure there was some expectations of how hard Bodo Glimt will come strong in this game, and that was very clear to see. Next player was Turner. He had a couple of good saves, played quite well, saving us with some of these shots coming in from Bodo Glimt. I could see a bit of improvement on his ball distribution. He was very active in the game, quick to spot dangers and respond. He knew his job, and he did it very well. These are, again, good things to see from our second players, keeping up with the level that we expect, keeping up with a higher performance like our first team players. In this competition with these different teams, it gives them as close as a Premier League type performance in terms of competition, because, again, these are teams and players that show their quality in their own way. And like I mentioned, coming in on the back of a 14-game winning streak, you can factor in, the league and who they're playing against, but this is not just an average team, I would say. And Turner really displaying his abilities of a good shot blocker just was really refreshing. And I like that. The final player of the top three was Lokonga. Well, he didn't marshal the tip of Arsenal's defensive spine. He just played a clean, safe game. That's okay to me, but I wish he had a greater impact in helping challenge that midfield. Like I said, we were just overrun. We just couldn't really do as much to affect that midfield as we normally would see if it were, Xhaka and, Partey, but it was not. And that was just a difference. He played a safe game. His distribution was clean and not really. I think last season's Lokonga would have lost the ball, made a few errors here and there, but he has cleaned it up. It's always safe. And the best way to kind of attribute him now is someone that is similar to El Nene if he were playing right now. Safe passes, playing the ball in different positions, of really making sure that he's contained very well and having to get out of a press in our back line. So that's how I would categorize Lokonga, and seeing how his improvement is getting there. And hopefully there's some more that we would see out of his abilities, especially if there's some more of a contribution on the offensive side than defensive side. My other guy today was Nketiah. He was not a threat in the game. His effort is not in question here at all. But again, maybe it's as a result of how Bodo Glimt played us. Notwithstanding, I couldn't recall any good shots from Eddie. There was one that just sailed out wide, and then one that really kind of shanked his shin. He just kind of mistimed it, but nothing else. His pressing, his efforts, it was very evident. He had a couple of chances, but it didn't grow. It didn't really make a good impression of what he can probably do should he get the ball again, or probably they just froze him out with how the passes were really coming through. I wanted to see some spark from him, but that didn't happen. Arsenal were pretty much on the back foot for most of the game. So again, there's no way that you would see Eddie do or show much of what we expect him and know that he can do if we're defending and trying to contain a lot of the attacking and tactics that Bodo Glimt had for us in this game. But as I said, we left there with a win, and that's what I'm happy with. These types of games, you look at it with a different set of review or expectations, because you're coming into a team, you're coming to an away game with an understanding that it's not going to be an easy walkout. And in the end, it's a win you want. So that's it. Job done. We move on to the next. So I'm glad we came out with this game and the win. We fly back, rest, reset, and get ready for the next game. So that's how we keep looking at this. And as much as long as we keep winning, that's what we're really glad to see. So folks, that's all I have. We move on to the next one. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and in your day. We would keep our fingers crossed for a win or Leeds game away as well. And hopefully we can come back and talk about that. That's it for me right now. Take care and talk to you later.